All right, today we're going to dive deep into the actual mechanics of how a mind wakes up. We're going to push past all the modern mindfulness trends and go straight to the source, to the original science of liberation.
So let me just start by asking you a question and be honest with yourself. Is your meditation practice just a habit? I know, it's a bit of a pointed question, but without one very specific component, that time you spend on the cushion every day might not be leading you to the real freedom you're after.
To figure out what that missing piece is, we have to go back, way back. We're going to look at the original blueprint for the mind's liberation, the one decoded thousands of years ago and laid out in the ancient texts we call the suttas.
And right away, this clears up a huge misunderstanding. See, the Buddha wasn't just teaching a religion. What he did was decode the mind's operating system. He figured out the fundamental laws of how we perceive the world, and he called this whole system the Dhamma.
And here's where it gets super precise. The suttas are crystal clear on this. There aren't dozens of ways to freedom. There are exactly 3. This isn't about belief, it's about the mechanics of the mind. So, the first path, that's the path of a Buddha. This is the ultimate pioneer, someone who, with zero outside help, figures out the entire system from scratch, finds the way out, and then actually draws the map for everyone else to follow.
Path number 2 is kinda similar, but with one massive difference. Apachika Buddha also discovers the entire logic of liberation all on their own. They find the exit, but they stay silent. They don't teach, they don't share the map.
Which, of course, brings us to path number 3, the Shravaka. This name literally means the listener. And this, right here, is the path for pretty much all of us. A Shravaka finds liberation not by discovering the logic, but by hearing it, by getting the map from someone who already knows the way. Just look at this table. It makes the key difference so obvious. Look at that discovery method column. The Buddha and the Pacceka Buddha, they both decode it alone. But the Shravaka, their path is completely defined by hearing the Dhamma. It is the only path that absolutely depends on the transmission of this knowledge. So why does this ancient framework matter so much today? Well, because it reveals a huge fundamental misconception in the way most of us approach mindfulness. By not getting this one vital distinction, a lot of sincere people are sent down a path that's, it's incredibly inefficient. This quote really gets to the core of it. Without the wisdom that only comes from hearing the Dhamma, meditation risks becoming just a repetitive exercise. Sure, it might calm me down, it might feel good, but it isn't the key that actually unlocks the door to genuine awakening. I mean, think about it. When people sit in a quiet room, close their eyes, and try to figure it all out for themselves, what are they really doing? Without even knowing it, they're attempting the path of a Buddha. The suttas say this is an event so unbelievably rare, it might happen once in an entire age of the world. They're trying to reinvent the map from scratch, instead of just reading the one that already exists. And it's not just any old teaching that works. The texts use a very specific word for this, nirikthi. This refers to the true, deep, structural meaning of how the mind works. It's this core logic, this precise code that has to be transmitted for the listener's path to actually work. So what's the real solution here? It's about making a conscious choice. It's about embracing the most effective, most realistic path that this framework offers us, the path of the listener. And here's the key. The listener's path is not a solo mission. It requires what's called a kalyanamitta, a spiritual friend. This is someone who already gets the logic, someone who holds the map, and who knows how to transmit the Dhamma correctly. The process itself is just plain logical. Step 1, you find a guide who can give you the right information. Step 2, you listen and you really understand that information, the Dhamma. And the result, step 3, wisdom awakens. See, it's a direct consequence, not some hopeful, maybe it'll happen outcome of just practicing blindly. And this completely reframes the whole idea of meditation. It stops being this thing you have to schedule for an hour every day. Instead, it becomes the natural default state of your mind. It's a whole new operating system that just comes online once you finally understand the logic. Your entire life becomes the meditation. So what this all boils down to is a massive shift in priority. The goal is no longer to just practice more, to sit for longer and longer hours. The real priority is to listen better, to find and actually absorb the correct transmission of the Buddha's original logic.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought. Take a good, honest look at your own path, at all the effort you're putting in, and ask yourself,
Are you just practicing? Or are you truly listening?